Welcome to Fishin' Magician TV with Dave Graybill. Brought to you by Lyle's Boats and Motors, Hooked on Toys, Cooley Playland, Lake Bateras Inn, Gaboon Productions, Cascade Powder Coating, and Bob File Boats and Motors.
Let that one go.
Good idea. They're just so quickly, but their meat is good for nothing.
Yeah. Nice little Tule to start the morning. We'll send him back.
It's Fishin' Magician TV. Eric Granstrom, Dave Graybill's on some other river somewhere. We are here at Drano Lake with Shane Magnuson of Upper Columbia Guide Service. And Shane, we've been here for spring Chinook, but we haven't tried it for fall, with you anyway.
Right.
A little new approach.
Yeah, a little new approach. You know, actually we ended up with a windy day, so that puts us in here. But Drano gets a great run of fall upriver brights. They've been raising them for 8 or 10 years. They've kind of got away from the tules, and so it's a great option if you can't get out on the Columbia, because they get a lot of fish in here and they're pearl bright just like they are out on the main stand.
Now we'll show you some of the tules as well, and we'll kind of describe what the tules are. They're just kind of poking their head in here, aren't they?
Yeah, there's a hatchery just upriver. It's called Spring Creek Hatchery, and you know, the lake here is colder than the Columbia, so you get a lot of fish that kind of poke on in here, maybe hang out, go back out, and the tules do that a lot. They're in here just kind of milling, and they'll head back out, keep going up the river.
Geographically speaking, tell folks about where Drano Lake is for those that aren't familiar with the Lower Columbia.
Drano Lake's the mouth of the Little White Salmon. We're about 20 to 25 miles upriver from Bonneville Dam, so really not too far from the ocean overall. About 40 minutes out of Portland, and from the east side of the mountains, about 30 minutes down from the Dalles. So it's here in the center of the Columbia Gorge, and just a good spot.
Now let's talk a little bit about, we'll do a tech talk a little bit later on in the show, but kind of give us the presentation that we have here. No downriggers. What are we using?
You know, we're just we're throwing lead balls, we're trolling flashers and super baits, plugs like mag lips and spinners also working here, trolling off lead balls, but we're just doing the flashers and super baits today at a troll that's you know, kind of a slow troll, 1.5 to 2 miles an hour.
Okay.
And putting them down 15 to 20 feet and waiting for them to bury over the fish on them.
Well, and we've had some activity so far. We've got some more to come. So thanks for joining us here on Fish Magician TV. Drano Lake is the location.
with Shane Magnuson of Upper Columbia Guide Service, and we'll show you some fish in action, and we'll do a little more tech talk coming up as we continue here from Drano Lake.
My rod went off.
Hey!
That never happens.
Okay.
I think that's a real one.
I think we got a, yeah.
I think that one took off for me.
Here, Shane, what are we doing today?
We're doing a little trolling. We got Pro Troll flashers and super baits with heavy leads, and fishing fall Chinook here in Drano. Stuffing those baits full of tuna and lots of scent, and catching fish.
Now we've done shows for springers here, but we haven't done a show for fall.
Right, yeah, and you know, they just started doing URBs in here, you know, actually really not that long ago. So these big bright fish coming into Drano's kind of actually a new thing.
Let's take a look at what Terry's got on here.
Hello, anxious here.
Sneak in there, Terry. You're fine right there. Just drill right down to that lead and just lift straight up.
Get him right over here. I don't know if he's got one more to go or not.
I don't know, Terry. I think that's another Tule. I think we should probably release him unless you really want to keep him.
No, it'd be great. Gave me a good fight.
Bigger than mine, Terry.
Yeah.
I swear they switched fish on us midstream.
Yeah, I
They
think
look
so.
brighter.
It looked stronger too. Yeah, it did. It looked bigger, brighter. How'd that work like that?
What happens is there's a hatchery upriver that raises tules, and we get these tules that come in here and they'll hang out in a little bit cooler water, and we pick them up all the time. And nice hatchery fish, and off he goes.
Chewing the
Nice
belt.
little
Not
fun
so
anyway.
bad, huh?
Good fun anyway.
I think, Rob.
Feels like a pretty good fish. Feels bigger than the last one. Hope it's a bright one.
With the frog water.
Quite good. Yeah. Come here, Mr. Salmon. We want to let you go.
Yeah, they told me that before. I whacked off a fin.
You're right, it's a little bigger fish.
Jane, as you're doing this, talk me through this Tule deal and what exactly a Tule is.
So a Tule salmon is it's a Chinook that matures out in the salt before he comes in. So they come in all ready to spawn. So they're already colored up and full mature. And where you find them mostly is coastal rivers or rivers where they don't have to swim very far to get to their spawning ground. They're just really a different genetic than the upriver brights, which have the genetic to enter the river, and then they don't start maturing until half their journey up the river, so they can make the full journey. Just a different genetic of salmon. They're a coastal salmon and not an upriver salmon, really. So they come in all darkened up, ready to spawn. He's fat and ready to do his thing.
We got to get a bright one on film here. Well, we got a double, so I got to back up to the bow.
Daily double.
We got Terry in the back.
Now you guys are showing off.
Now Shane's decision on, oh, he's got the double net. Oh, I like it. I like it. Got a skater across the surface back there.
You guys got away from the Tules.
Yeah.
I'd rather catch those ones.
We warmed up.
Yeah.
It was a warm up.
Yeah.
Well, we're fishing Drano Lake for some fall Chinook, and Shane Magnuson, Upper Columbia Guide Service, helping us out here today. Shane, talk about this approach and how you like to fish for these, and how does that differ from other times of the year fishing Drano or down here on the Lower Columbia?
Well, right now we're fishing a trolling setup. I'm trolling a big flasher. This is a Pro Troll flasher that's making a big circle. This flasher's putting a lot of action on this super bait. Every time it rotates, it really pulsates that super bait. We're trolling this flasher with heavy leads, 12 to 16 ounces. In Drano, we put those out 25 to 35 feet. That way you're fishing 15 to 20 feet down, and we're trolling 1.5 to 2 miles an hour. This time of year, these Chinook get real aggressive in here, and so we're trolling fairly short leaders, 36 to 42 inches. That varies a lot from other times of year. When we fish springers in here, we tend to fish a lot longer leaders. We like something 44, 48, even up to 52 inches long. Take a little action off the bait. These fall fish, they like that action. They like that flasher really whipping that lure around. Another thing that I find is real different on these fall fish, you see these different styles of super baits. They make a cut plug style, and they make this thin series style. It's more of a banana shape and a smaller profile. I find with these fall fish, they like the smaller profile. I think it has to do with the warmer water. It's a little less intrusive, and they like to snap at it. When we get into the springers tend to like the bigger profile cut plug style bait. And I find it when fishing plugs too, like maglibs or spinners, the spring fish really like the 4.5s and the 5.0 maglibs, and the fall fish tend to like the smaller stuff. So something that differs between the two, but still fish in the same area.
Now let's talk, for those who go into their sporting goods store and buy the super bait off the shelf, do you change it? You change the hooks? What do you change about that before you go fishing with it?
So I like to try to buy the ones that aren't tied up, but sometimes you can't find those. So I retie all my leaders, and I like a 3-hook setup. I got a double red hook. This is a 2/0 and a 3/0, and then I got a number 2 treble that sits inside the hook garage. What you want to do is you want to pull this right up in there so it sits flat, and those 2 red hooks are right off the back, so that any short biters, you get 2 hooks in them. Any regular biters will get that right up at the head and get that treble, and that's a very effective hook setup. I've got that tied on 40-pound leader. That nice stiff leader makes that bait spin at a nice tight rotation. It acts as a nice solid pivot point, kind of like a spinner blade on a spinner wire. That's why we fish the heavy leaders.
And what is that, fluorocarbon? What do you got for your leader?
That leader is just a mono leader. I like P-line and I like Andy. They're both good monofilament leaders, good stiff monofilament. Don't really need the fluorocarbon. These fish are pretty aggressive, and if it's spinning right and working right behind that flasher, they don't care how thick that leader is.
Okay.
So we got that about 36 to 40 inch leader up to that flasher. Good chain swivel because it's rotating. Nice chrome flasher. And then we got 24 inches of 40-pound mono between the flasher and the chain swivel at the end of your braided line. And that 24 inches is real important because it's going to allow that flasher to make its full rotation and put action on that lure. If you get shorter, it doesn't allow it to do it. If you go longer, it gets tougher to land fish because you got so much out there. Got a nice soft bumper bead to protect your knot. And then I just do a simple slider. This is just a barrel swivel with a plug snap on it to clip onto my lead. That barrel swivel doesn't fray that braided line at all. This is 50-pound braid, and that plug works great.
So you prefer to go with the lead than, say, downrigger approach?
I've fished a lot with both. As you can see on my boat, I have Scotty riggers set up, electric Scotties. I don't have them on at the moment. And I've done a lot of playing with this. I found, especially fishing here in the lake where most of the fish are 15 to 20 feet down, I can get 2 riggers in the strike zone and maybe a third close, and catch fish off those riggers. Where if I run lead balls and spread them out between 4 rod holders, I can get all 4 of those rods in the strike zone, and now I can up my my bites and my hook to catch ratio by getting more rods in the strike zone. So especially in the lake here, I really like the lead ball presentation.
Now we've got the setup on the lower end. How about rigging that super bait? And I see you're using tuna. Is this a special kind of tuna, Shane, or is this, what are you using?
Well, I like to use a couple different tunas. I'm going to pick up my empty can here from this morning just because it's fun. This is actually tuna and water I got today, and I use a couple different tunas. I like tuna and water and tuna and oil. If I want to fish with plain tuna fish, I use tuna and oil. It puts out that nice tuna smell. It works great, and the fish these salmon like the smell of plain tuna. But I'm a big scent guy. I own Northwest Bait and Scent and run the Graybill's scents and make them. And so I like to add a lot of scent to my tuna. If you can't tell in here, there's not your typical looking tuna oil in there. There's scent and krill and salmon formula, and actually even a little garlic. And when I do that, I use the tuna and water. And I'll take that tuna fish and I'll drain all the tuna water out of it so that it's fairly dry, just like you're making a sandwich. And I'll stick that tuna in a tub, and I will mix the scent in. And when I do combinations of scent, I figure about an ounce of each. So if I'm going to do a salmon and krill, I'll do an ounce of salmon formula and an ounce of krill formula, and so you got 2 ounces of scent back in there. If you're just doing one scent, say you're doing the salmon scent, make sure you do a couple ounces of that. That tuna overnight will soak that scent in and really hold it. So when you're baiting it the next day and that bait's spinning, it's gonna push that scent out. I also like to add some salt. These fish coming out of the salt water really crave some salt. And so I'll add, I like to say 2 tablespoons per can of tuna fish. Works really well. So I'll add 2 tablespoons per can of tuna fish to add a little salt back in there to give them a attractant.
Sea salt or just regular table salt or what?
That's a really good question. And that's where a lot of people make a mistake. You want to get non-iodized salt, and I like to use non-iodized sea salt because that's obviously real natural to them, but non-iodized is important. Iodine is a non-attractant to fish and will actually repel them. So nonetheless, non-iodized salts and preferably sea salt works the best.
So you'll mix up that batch of tuna day before and then use it today. Now, is that good beyond today if you refrigerate it, or what?
Is the tuna fish good beyond today? Yes. Keep it cold. I'll mix it up a couple cans at a time and use it over the course of 2 or 3 days until I've run it down, and then make a new batch. Just keep it cold, keep it in your refrigerator, keep it in your ice chest throughout the day. Don't let it bake out in the sun for too long, and it should last you a couple days, no problem.
Now let's see about actually filling that the super bait, and then we should mention too that when you buy a super bait off the shelf, it'll come with a little pad inside of there. I see that you don't have that in there still.
Right. So to fill the super bait, you take your rubber band off and really pay attention to this rubber band. The package comes with a couple extras, and it's always the first thing you lose because your fingers get slippery. So always keep the extras. Open up that super bait, and there's normally a foam pad in here. I get rid of that pad because then I can pack it with more bait, and my bait is full of scent, so I don't really need the pad. And what happens with the pads is if you do use them after the first trip, they kind of get rotten and smelly and taint the lure anyway, so they're really only good for one use. So get rid of the pad. Come over here, and I grab some tuna out of this tub, and I lay it in here. You don't want to pack this thing too full. The better way to do it is to pack it fairly light. I always go from hole to hole, never way into the tail, never way in the head. That'll keep the lure from breaking, and it'll make it shut all the way. It'll also keep it light so that it'll rotate real easily on its axis. I rub all sides, and you want to make sure it shuts all the way so there's no crease in here. That way it spins properly.
I think most guys probably make a big mistake with that because they overload it because they think that, you know, I can fish it longer if I put more in there.
That's a huge mistake with these. More is not always better. Load them light and then refreshing them more often is way more effective than trying to pack them super full and get more out of them. That'll keep you from breaking lures. That'll also keep the lure working properly and rotating properly by making sure you don't overpack it and that it shuts all the way.
Now, how often when you're trolling will you have to repack it, or do you just check to make sure there's still some tuna in there?
Now, the tuna itself has a lot of smell to it, and then when you add the scents, it also has a lot of smell. So you can really let them fish for quite a while, but I like, 40-minute rule, 45 minutes. Check it, at least check and make sure you don't have weeds on your flashers. Maybe take a little extra scent and dunk the super bait in the scent just to refreshen it. But a 45-minute refresh, repack is a really good estimate on rebaiting these. Which 45 minutes of trolling is actually quite a while when you're out there, but it's putting out a lot of smell. And when I get a fish, I tend to always repack all the lures because they're all in anyway, so you might as well.
Now I see, you know, out here today you had a couple of different colors we were working with, and obviously, you know, what you have used that is successful is probably your proven formula. Now, we've got a couple of hot tamales on here.
Yeah, that's a hot tamale. It's a basic red. This is a custom color from a store called Ranch and Home in Kennewick. That's called Cowgirl. Has some red and yellow on it. That was actually our hot lure today. This is also a custom color from them. I don't know the name of it, but I really like it. Pink and green metallics. And this is kind of the same style, a little pink and green. They call this one Twisted Sister, you know. So you can see I'm real close on 2 rods with reds on them and 2 rods with pink and greens on them. And that seems to be really consistent in this fishery. I do throw some oranges, and I also do throw some herring colored ones. They have one that's called a blackjack or a blue Hawaiian that kind of have that herring look to it that can work really well at times also.
Well, we've talked about the terminal end as far as you know, what's attracting the fish. Let's talk a little bit about your tackle here, your rod and your reels and your line, and what you prefer to use here.
I'm going to take
off now that you
gloves.
got gunk all over your gloves.
Yeah, we're going to take those off. So, grab this other rod here. So, pulling heavy lead balls is really tough on rods and reels, and you want to have something that is going to hold up to it. And so what I have here is I have a 10.5 foot Lamiglass Certified Pro. It's a quick series. This is rated 15 to 30. We also have one down here that's rated up to 40. It's the 1064 model and the 1066 model. These handle 12 and 16 ounce lead balls really well. It's what they were made for. They're a composite rod, so they have graphite and fiberglass in them, so they're sensitive, but they're still really strong and have some backbone. They have the graphite handles that holds up with a lot of pressure constantly in the rod holders. I find running cork over time, running that heavy lead and pulling out of the rod holders, you start to eat up your cork real bad, so I like that durability. And then probably really the most important is your reels. I'm running a Daiwa Saltus 20 level wind line counter reel. This has, if you look over here on the side, it has really big drag discs. That's going to handle that lead ball and a big fish. Super important. Has a line counter, which is real accurate for putting it out to the exact spot every time. And I've got it loaded with 50-pound Power Pro Super Slick, and this can hold, well, I've got it backed with about halfway with 20-pound mono, and then I've got 200 yards of Power Pro on top of that mono underneath that spool. So good, tough, durable reel, 10.5 foot rod to handle some lead, and you'll be successful. If you get out here with some of the lighter weight gear, the heavy leads and these big fish will eat them up in a day and strip your drags and hurt your equipment.
One thing that's nice is that if you ever see Shane at the launch or out on the water or whatever, and he's catching fish, which he usually does, and you aren't, you're happy to offer any ideas or suggestions on the water, aren't you?
Of course. Nobody be afraid. Come over, say hi. You know, I know a lot of times I look busy, I'm washing the boat and I'm filleting fish, or we're taking pictures or whatever we're doing. But I always got a few minutes to at least hand you a rod and let you look at it while I'm cleaning things up. And there's plenty of fish out here for everybody and out here to have fun. So don't be afraid to say hi and at least come over and pet the dog on the front of the boat and share a fish story. I think he got you on that snag down there, Rob. Yeah, he got you on that snag. That's the first time I've had that happen.
That snag?
Yeah, the snag you hear in the middle. We don't get it too often, but once in a while.
You may as well go ahead and reel it up.
Gonna give it all.
And I can still see the fish is still pulling.
Yeah.
It is on something out there. I can feel
Oh yeah. Felt like it looked like it just came off. Alright. There you go. Nice fish. Oh, got a flasher. Got something else in here. Nice bright fish, Rob. Look at that. And you got me some gear.
Bonus!
You paid for your day.
That's a nice bright.
You got a photo of that fish.
Give him a little welcome talk. Thanks for playing.
Don't give him the Ed Iman treatment.
Yeah. Whack. Whack. Nice fish, Rob.
Woohoo!
That was a good one. Fought it through the snag. Well, great day, guys. For you who didn't know, I had Rob Phillips on the boat from Yakima, and Terry Shealy on the boat. He writes for the Real News, and we just had a fun morning. And you guys got some fish.
It was a good morning. It really was. We got some nice fish. Rob got a great bright fish.
Yep.
Beauty.
Yeah.
Couple good eaters. It's a good day. Good day for a day when the wind was blowing on the main river.
Got out there, trolled around, didn't troll real long, called it quits about noon, and stayed out of the windstorm.
Anytime you can get on the water and get some fish, it's a good day.
Definitely.
It's been a good day considering the weather. That it's better than I'd hoped. Nice to be able to duck in here. See a guy who's got it wired a little bit too. But this
Well, you know, you get pretty fortunate when we get to fish here every day to figure out what these fish are doing. So,
seems like there's a lot of fish stacked in there though.
a lot of fish stacked in there, and it was. I'm glad I had a day off to get you guys out.
Well, thank you very much. It was
Good
fun.
education. Good way to see how it's done.
Thank you.
Shane Magnuson with Upper Columbia Guide Service. If you want to find out about fishing down here in the Lower Columbia or the Upper Columbia, be sure and check out the website uppercolumbiaguide.com.
Yeah, that's right.
And throw us a phone number, Shane.
509-264-7684. Talk to my beautiful wife in the office.
Thanks for watching Fishin' Magician TV with Dave Graybill. Brought to you by Bob File Boats and Motors, Cascade Powder Coating, Gaboon Productions, Lake Pateras Motor Inn, Cooley Playland, Hooked on Toys, and Lyle's Boats and Motors.